You're staring at the chart, but you're not really seeing it anymore. The candles keep printing, price keeps moving, but your attention is locked somewhere else, on the number, the balance, lower than it should be, lower than yesterday, lower than the version of you that promised this time will be different. Your finger hovers over the mouse, not confident enough to click, not disciplined enough to walk away. This is the moment no guru screenshots, no Discord celebrates. No one sells you a course from this place, because this is the mirror. You followed the rules, at least at first. You waited for the setup. You sized the trade properly. You even told yourself you wouldn't interfere. And yet, here you are, again. So you replay it. If I had entered 5 minutes later, if I had widened the stop, if I had trusted my bias, that internal monologue feels productive. It feels analytical. It isn't. It's pain avoidance disguised as intelligence. This is where most traders lie to themselves. They call it bad luck. They call it manipulation. They call it one of those days. But the pattern is older than your account, older than the market itself. You are not failing because you don't know enough. You are failing because your brain is doing its job. Your nervous system was not designed for probabilistic environments. It was designed for survival under immediate threat. When price moves against you, your body reacts before your logic does. Heart rate up, breathing shallow, attention narrowed. That's not weakness, that's biology. Your brain doesn't see a -1R drawdown. It sees danger, and danger demands action. So you interfere. You close early to be safe. You move the stop just this once. You add size because it has to reverse. Not because you're reckless, because your brain is optimized for the wrong game. In the wild, hesitation kills. In trading, hesitation is often the edge. This mismatch is the biological trap. The market operates on variance. Your brain craves certainty. The market rewards delayed gratification. Your brain demands immediate relief. The market pays expected value over hundreds of trades. Your brain experiences every single outcome as personal. That's the asymmetry of loss at work. Losses hurt more than wins feel good. So your mind bends reality to avoid them. You don't fear being wrong, you fear the feeling of being wrong. And that fear quietly shapes every decision. You hesitate on valid setups. You overtrade after losses. You undertrade after wins. You think you're managing risk. You're actually managing emotion. This is why two traders can run the same strategy and get different results. One follows the system. The other negotiates with it. Negotiation is where the account dies. Your brain is not objective. It is a defense attorney. It will justify anything to avoid discomfort. It will tell you the market feels weird today. It will convince you that this loss is different. It will whisper that you deserve to make it back now. That whisper has blown more accounts than bad strategies ever will, because the market doesn't punish ignorance. It punishes inconsistency. And inconsistency is biological. You are wired to react to the most recent outcome. That's recency bias. You are wired to overvalue patterns that don't exist. That's apophenia. You are wired to take credit for wins and externalize losses. That's ego protection. None of these traits care about profitability. They care about survival of identity. So you keep tweaking, adjusting, optimizing, always one change away from finally getting it. But every tweak based on emotion corrupts expected value. You're no longer trading a system, you're trading a mood, and moods don't compound. This is the quiet failure no one warns you about. Not the dramatic blow-up, the slow bleed. One rule broken here. One exception justified there. One emotional decision masked as logic. Until the equity curve tells the truth your mind avoids. The market didn't outsmart you. It outlasted your discipline. Because discipline based on willpower expires. Discipline based on structure survives. Right now, you're still trying to outthink your biology. That's the mistake. You can't reason your way out of a system-level problem. You can't be better than millions of years of evolution. You either design around your flaws or you pay for them. This is the mirror moment. not a motivational speech, not a breakthrough, just an honest assessment. Your brain is not your ally in trading. It is a liability that must be engineered around. Until you accept that, every strategy will fail eventually, because under pressure, you will always revert to biology. In part 2, we stop trying to fix your mindset. We build a machine that assumes your mind will fail and profits anyway.
You don't fix a faulty compass by staring at it harder. You recalibrate the instrument. That's the shift you're about to make. Up until now, you've been trying to think your way into profitability. Smarter analysis, better intuition, more screen time. All of it assumes one thing, that the human mind can be trusted under pressure. It can't. So the mechanical fix begins with a brutal premise. You are not the trader. The system is. Your job is not to decide. Your job is to execute. Most traders say they have a system. What they actually have is a preference. A real system does not ask how you feel. It does not care about your confidence. It does not adjust based on the last trade. It behaves the same way every time. Why? Because consistency is the only way expected value can exist. Expected value is not magic. It is math multiplied by repetition. And repetition only works when behavior is stable. This is where most traders sabotage themselves. They understand the concept of expected value intellectually, but emotionally they reject it. Because expected value requires you to accept unfairness. You must accept that a good trade can lose, repeatedly, back to back. You must accept that a bad trade can win, convincingly. Your brain hates this, so it interferes. The mechanical fix removes the opportunity for interference. First, fixed risk. Not roughly 1%, not a little more on high confidence. Fixed means fixed. Same risk on every trade, regardless of mood, streak, or conviction. Why? Because variable risk amplifies variance, and amplified variance accelerates account death. Fixed risk turns variance into background noise. Second, predefined exits. Stop loss and profit logic are decided before the trade is placed. No, let's see how it behaves. No, I'll manage it manually. Manual management is emotional management in disguise. If you touch the trade after entry, the system is broken. Third, binary execution criteria. Either the setup is there or it isn't. No partials, no almost, no interpretation. Interpretation is where ego re-enters. The market does not reward creativity, it rewards repeatability. This is why professional traders often look boring. Same setups, same levels, same behavior, day after day. They're not trying to be right, they're trying to be aligned. Alignment between rules and behavior. Now let's talk about loss limits. Most traders treat daily loss limits as optional. They aren't. A daily loss limit is not a risk tool, it's a biological circuit breaker. After losses, your decision-making quality deteriorates. This is not opinion, it's neuroscience. Cortisol impairs judgment. Dopamine depletion increases impulsivity. So if you keep trading after hitting your loss limit, you are trading while impaired. No professional does this. Pilots don't keep flying after critical system failure. Snipers don't keep firing when their position is compromised. They stop. So does a real trading system. Now let's address frequency. Overtrading is not aggression, it is anxiety. You trade too much because you're trying to feel in control. Control is an illusion. Your system should define how often you trade, not your boredom, not your need to recover. When the session is over, it's over. This is how you prevent the slow bleed. Now here's the part that most traders resist. Boredom is a requirement. If your trading feels exciting, something is wrong. Excitement means uncertainty plus ego. A system should feel dull, predictable, almost lifeless. That's how you know biology is no longer driving. This is the difference between a trader and a casino. The casino doesn't feel excitement on a hot table. It doesn't panic during a losing night. It understands variance. It understands the asymmetry of loss. It understands that small, controlled losses are the cost of long-term dominance. You must think the same way, not emotionally, mechanically. This is where system over ego becomes real. Your opinions don't matter. Your feelings don't matter. Your confidence doesn't matter. Only execution matters, and execution is binary. Did you follow the system? Yes or no. Profit is a delayed side effect. This is where most people quit, because once the system is mechanical, there's nowhere left to hide. No more blaming the market, no more blaming news, no more blaming psychology. Just behavior versus rules, and behavior is exposed quickly. In part 3, we're going to eliminate the final illusion, the idea that discipline is something you generate. Instead, we'll build discipline by removing choice entirely. You've been told discipline is about strength, mental toughness, self-control, grinding through discomfort. That narrative feels empowering. It's also wrong. Discipline that depends on willpower collapses under stress, and trading is stress by design. Every chart is uncertainty. Every position is exposure. Every outcome threatens identity. So if your discipline relies on motivation, it will fail exactly when it's needed most. This is the core misunderstanding. Discipline is not something you summon, it's something you install. The most disciplined operators in the world are not emotionally stronger. They are structurally constrained. They don't make better choices, they have fewer choices available. Choice is where biology takes over. Every time you ask, should I take this trade? Your nervous system enters the process. Fear, hope, urgency. That question invites bias. A professional system never asks it. The system asks only one thing. Does this meet the criteria? Yes or no? No debate, no override. This is why amateurs feel exhausted after trading and professionals don't. Amateurs decide constantly. Professionals execute. Decision fatigue is real, and it degrades judgment rapidly. The more decisions you make, the worse they get. So the solution is not better decisions, it's fewer decisions. Your trading day should feel repetitive to the point of annoyance. Same routine, same preparation, same execution. Not because routine makes you productive, because routine neutralizes emotion. Emotion feeds on novelty. Routine starves it. Now let's talk about rules. Most traders write rules as suggestions. Try not to overtrade. Be careful after losses. Avoid low-quality setups. Those are not rules, they are hopes. A rule must be enforceable without interpretation. For example, maximum 3 trades per session. Daily loss limit equals 2R. No trading outside predefined hours. When the rule is broken, trading stops. Not tomorrow, immediately. Rules that don't have consequences are decoration. This is where most traders lie to themselves. They create rules to feel responsible, then break them quietly. And every time they do, they reinforce the behavior. Your brain learns what you allow. If you override the system once, it becomes easier to do it again. That's how inconsistency compounds. Now let's address one of the most damaging illusions: flexibility. Traders love to believe flexibility is intelligence, adaptability, discretion. In reality, flexibility is often just ego disguised as sophistication. Flexibility allows you to justify emotional decisions after the fact. A rigid system feels restrictive. That's the point. Rigidity protects expected value. Expected value cannot survive improvisation. You cannot selectively apply probability. Either you accept the distribution or you don't. Most traders try to filter losses emotionally. They skip trades after a losing streak. They increase size after wins. Both actions distort the math. A system only works if every valid trade is taken. Every one. Not the ones that feel good, not the ones that look clean. All of them. This is where discipline truly lives. Not in forcing yourself to take trades, but in refusing to not take them. The asymmetry of loss makes this difficult. Losses feel heavier than gains, so your brain wants to avoid the next one. But avoiding the next trade is avoiding expected value, and over time, that avoidance is expensive. This is why discipline must be mechanical, not emotional, not motivational, mechanical. You trade because the system says trade. You stop because the system says stop. Your internal state is irrelevant. This is also why journaling matters, but not the way most people do it. Journaling is not about expressing feelings, it's about auditing behavior. Did you follow the rules? Yes or no? That's it. You are not journaling to feel better. You are journaling to expose deviations, and deviations are the real enemy. One deviation seems harmless. 10 deviations destroy expectancy. Now let's talk about boredom again. Boredom is not a side effect of discipline. It is proof of it. If trading still excites you, you are still emotionally invested in outcomes. The goal is emotional compression. Wins feel neutral. Losses feel neutral. Not because you don't care, because caring is reserved for process. Process is controllable, outcome is not. This emotional flattening is what allows longevity. Longevity is what allows compounding. Compounding is what creates wealth. Not intelligence, not creativity, not passion. Time plus consistency. That's the formula. And it requires you to give up something uncomfortable, the need to feel involved. You don't get to feel clever. You don't get to feel special. You don't get to feel redeemed by a trade. You get to execute. That's it. In part 4, we're going to confront the last layer, the one that survives systems, rules, and routines. The story you tell yourself about who you are as a trader.
Why who you think you are keeps you losing. Even with rules, even with systems, even with mechanical discipline, most traders still fail. Not because the strategy breaks, but because identity leaks into execution. This is the layer almost no one wants to confront. You don't just place trades, you place meaning. Every win whispers something about you. Every loss screams something louder. Smart, stupid, disciplined, hopeless, getting it, falling behind. The market doesn't care about any of this, but you do. And that's the problem. Your identity wants proof. It wants validation. It wants the trade to say something about you. So the trade stops being a data point. It becomes a verdict. That's when expected value dies. Let's be precise. A trader whose identity is attached to being good cannot tolerate randomness. Variance feels like disrespect, like an insult. So when a good setup loses, the mind rebels. This shouldn't have happened. I did everything right. The market is wrong. The market is never wrong. It is indifferent. And indifference is intolerable to an ego that needs meaning. So you fight back. You hold longer than planned. You re-enter immediately. You widen the stop to avoid being wrong. This isn't strategy failure. This is identity defense. Your system says exit. Your ego says not yet. Because exiting confirms something you don't want to accept, that you can do everything right and still lose. Your biology hates that truth. In the real world, good behavior is usually rewarded. Bad behavior is punished. Trading breaks that contract. Here, good behavior is rewarded over time. Bad behavior can be rewarded immediately. This delay corrupts learning, so identity steps in to protect self-image. I'm better than this. I know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be losing like this. Those thoughts feel harmless. They're lethal. Because once identity is involved, execution is compromised. You start trading to prove something, to recover status, to feel competent again. Now you're not managing risk, you're managing ego. And ego always wants to be right now. This is why traders revenge trade, not because they want money, because they want relief. Relief from the discomfort of feeling wrong. That's the asymmetry of loss again. Loss hurts more than gain feels good. So identity prioritizes pain avoidance over profit. Expected value doesn't stand a chance. Now let's talk about confidence. Confidence is praised endlessly in trading, but confidence is often misunderstood. Most confident traders are just emotionally attached to their opinions. That's not confidence. That's fragility with volume. Real confidence is quiet, almost invisible. It doesn't need to defend itself.
It doesn't need reassurance. It comes from repetition without drama, from running the same system through drawdowns, recoveries, boredom, and noise. Confidence is not believing you'll win the next trade. Confidence is not caring whether you do. That's the difference. And that difference requires an identity shift. You must stop seeing yourself as a trader. Trader implies intuition, judgment, skill expression. Those things feed ego. You must see yourself as an operator. An operator runs a machine. He doesn't personalize output. If the machine produces a loss, he checks whether it ran correctly, not whether he felt right. This depersonalization is the hardest transition because it strips fantasy. No more hero moments, no more calling the market, no more feeling special, just execution. Most people resist this because it feels empty, and it is. But emptiness is stability. Stability is what allows time. Time is what allows compounding. The professional identity is boring by design. It is built to survive variance. Let's bring variance into focus again. Variance guarantees unfair sequences, losing streaks, winning streaks, periods where nothing works. If your identity requires constant confirmation, these periods will break you. You'll tweak, override, abandon. Not because the system failed, but because your identity couldn't tolerate uncertainty. That's why most traders never reach consistency. They are not beaten by the market, they are beaten by themselves changing. They never allow a system to express its edge. They interrupt it, again and again. This is why journaling must be ruthless, not emotional, not therapeutic, behavioral. Did you follow the system? Yes or no? That question is identity neutral. It doesn't ask if you were smart. It doesn't ask if you were unlucky. It asks if you did your job. Professionals measure themselves this way. Amateurs measure themselves by outcome. One metric survives variance, the other doesn't. Now here's the final identity illusion. I'm different. Every failing trader believes this. Different risk tolerance, different intuition, different insight, different enough to bend rules. The market destroys this belief slowly, because probability doesn't care how unique you feel. It only responds to consistency. You are not special to variance. You are not exempt from loss. You are not owed a win. Accepting this is not pessimism. It's liberation. Because once identity is removed from outcome, you stop fighting reality. You stop forcing trades to mean something. You let the system do its job. And your job becomes simple. Execute, record, repeat. In Part 5, we'll lock everything together. Not as motivation, not as inspiration, but as a cold operating philosophy. One that survives biology, ego, and time. At this point, there is nothing left to discover. No secret indicator, no missing concept, no hidden insight. What remains is an operating philosophy. A way of behaving that stays intact when your emotions fluctuate, when variance turns hostile, when the market feels unfair. This is where traders separate permanently, not by intelligence, not by effort, but by tolerance for boredom and delayed reward. The philosophy is simple but brutal. Aggressive consistency beats aggressive intelligence. The market does not reward brilliance in short bursts. It rewards survival through repetition. Most traders secretly believe the breakthrough trade is coming, the one that fixes everything, the moment they finally prove they belong. That belief makes them fragile, because fragility comes from needing something to happen. A professional needs nothing from the next trade. The next trade is just one unit of execution in a sequence that matters more than today. This is the final rewiring. You stop trading to win. You trade to execute. Winning becomes a side effect. Execution becomes the goal. This is not semantics. This is survival logic. When you trade to win, every outcome carries weight. When you trade to execute, outcomes lose power. And power is what emotions feed on. Aggressive consistency means you show up the same way, whether you are up 5% or down 5%. Same size, same rules, same indifference. No celebration after wins, no self-criticism after losses. Emotion is treated as data, not instruction. If emotion spikes, it signals one thing only: risk is too high. Always. That rule never changes. Now let's lock the concepts together. You accept the asymmetry of loss. You accept that losses hurt more than wins feel good. So you design risks small enough that pain never forces action. You don't get used to losses. You make them irrelevant. You accept variance as unavoidable, not intellectually, operationally. You expect losing streaks. You plan for them. You stop reacting to them. You anchor everything to expected value, not daily profit, not weekly performance, expected value across a large sample. That forces patience. Patience is not passive. It is aggressively defended. You defend patience by cutting risk, by enforcing stops, by ending sessions early. This is what discipline actually looks like in practice. Not intensity, containment. System over ego becomes your default state. Your opinions do not matter. Your feelings do not matter. Your confidence does not matter. Only execution matters. And execution is binary. Did you follow the system? Yes or no? That question is immune to emotion. That is why professionals love it. This philosophy feels empty to most people because it offers no excitement, no hero moments, no redemption arcs, no emotional highs, just repetition. That's why most traders quit. Not because trading is impossible, but because it requires you to abandon stimulation. The human brain evolved for novelty. Trading rewards monotony. That contradiction filters people out. While others chase action, you protect structure. While others reset accounts, you protect time. While others seek validation, you protect process. Time is the asset most traders never earn. They burn it chasing shortcuts. They sacrifice it to impatience. But time is where expected value lives. Time is what turns small edges into overwhelming advantage. This is the boring path to wealth. No screenshots, no hype, no promises, just controlled exposure applied repeatedly, over weeks, over months, over years. This philosophy does not care if you feel inspired. It does not care if you feel discouraged. It runs anyway. That's the point. You stop asking, how am I doing, and start asking, did I execute? That shift is subtle and permanent, because once execution is the only metric, you stop fighting the market. You stop arguing with outcomes. You stop needing to be right. You let probability work. Most people will hear this and agree, then change nothing, because aggressive consistency feels like giving up control. It isn't. It's the only real control available. Control of exposure, control of behavior, control of time. Everything else is illusion. If this philosophy makes you uncomfortable, that's good. That discomfort is the ego realizing it is no longer needed. And if you actually apply this, not admire it, not quote it, but live it, you will stop feeling like a trader. You will feel like an operator, a custodian of risk, a caretaker of process, a manager of probability. That is how professionals are built, not in moments of inspiration, but in thousands of identical executions that feel forgettable at the time, until one day the equity curve tells a story your emotions never could. And by then, you won't feel proud, you'll feel calm. That's how you'll know it worked.